Hello and welcome. My name is Baron Erish and I am the owner of Root of Innovation. Today I'm going to explain how you can actually increase your salary as a UX designer or UX professional. Now, in this case, in most cases these will apply, but in certain cases, of course, it's not going to apply to everyone. But overall, you should be able to find some value in this video through at least one of the tips I do provide for increasing your salary, because this is all based off of data that I have gathered. Now, you could go out and conduct your own research, but this video is me doing the research. I've went out and I've done the research, gathered the data, and put it all here for you to consume very easily. So if you just want to learn the best tips from across the internet of how to increase your salary as someone in UX, then just watch this video. So I hope you find some value in this. Let's get into it. So firstly, now this is going to sound very obvious, but it is the most basic and the best way to actually increase your salary as anyone in any profession, and that would to be getting good at it. Yes, anyone can say that, oh, you need to be the best at it, because as you should know, and now this is just overall, this is an obvious thing in business, is that when you hire someone, they're hiring someone based off the value that they can provide to the business. Let's say you're on a salary of $30,000 a year. Now that is because they think that you're going to be providing them with at least $30,000 a year in value. So the more value you can provide, e.g. the most money that you will provide to the business, the more that you will get. So the better that you are at your thing essentially means the more value you will be providing to that business. And then you should be able to receive a higher salary because of that. Now, the actionable steps you can take to get better at UX is you need UX to be your life. Okay, I don't mean literally, because I don't want you to be spending 24/7 on it, but if you just want a simple increase in salary, you don't need to spend 24/7 in the field of UX, but you will need to spend a decent amount of time, more than your peers, let's say. So how you can do this, you can go out and look for certain groups, let's say Facebook groups. You will speak in there, you will absorb all the information that they are providing to each other and learning what is going on. You will also look at news articles, what is going on in the industry, what is a new piece of technology or thing that UX professionals are using that have seen an increase in providing value. You're just taking everything that you can find that will mean that you provide more value to that business. So if you see that in the industry, people are starting to do user flows. Obviously, everyone does user flows in UX, but let's say it was a new thing. Oh, this thing called user flows is providing more value to the business. You're going to take that and you're going to try and use that in your job. You're going to say, okay, today I'm just going to spend a little bit of time trying to implement this. Maybe you have to speak to your manager or whoever is above you on that, but you should be able to just try it out, test it. Maybe in your spare time, just try it on the business and see what type of results it could yield. And you will probably see that it yields greater results. And in that sense, you're probably the only person in your business that has decided to bring that in and provide more value, thus you being worth more now to the business. So you should be able to increase your salary that way. If you want to really go high within UX or any position, you need to try and become number one at that craft. So in this sense, by Malcolm Gladwell, he stated that about 10,000 hours of spending on that thing, you should be able to become an expert. And in that sense, if you spend 10 hours on something, you should be able to become number one at it. In a sense, you will be in a top percentage at least in that company. And with that, with expert status, that basically derives from how much you know, your knowledge or expertise in that thing. So, e.g., you would be providing more value because of that. So spend a lot of time on it. I don't want you to spend all your time on it unless you seriously want to become the absolute number one in the world at that thing, and that's okay if that's your dream. But to increase your salary, you need to become, let's say you just need to put your mind to becoming an expert. You don't necessarily need to actually go and become the expert. As long as you're thinking about it, you should be able to reach higher than you would without thinking about it. Now, when becoming an expert in a field, you need to pick your specific niche within that. You can't just say, oh, UX design, because that is way too broad. You need to be more specific and niche down further. For example, you may say that you want to focus on the research aspect. Maybe you want to focus on the prototyping, maybe the user flows, information architecture, anything of the sort that is specific. Now, when picking your specific niche in UX to focus on and become that expert in, you need to match this, or at least it will help dramatically to match this with your actual skill set. So, for example, if your skill set is you're good at leadership, you're good at coming up with the ideas, or you're good at putting things together and taking things from someone else and then making that communication. Maybe you should be a facilitator, or you should focus on the strategy. Okay, so focus on what is the thing, what is your skill set. It would help to write this down perhaps, because even myself, I had to check this a few weeks ago. What is my actual skill set, and what does that apply to in the field of UX, so that I can excel at that very specific niche thing in UX industry. Building on a previous statement that I said about being in the industry, looking at podcasts, watching videos, reading articles, if you want to see these type of things, the articles, you want to know what the trends are, what's going on in the industry, then please hit that subscribe button and I promise I will provide information on that for you. Another thing that greatly helps to increase your salary as a UX designer is to have a lot of experience under you. Now, I mean from different products you've worked on. Perhaps it was a software product and then one was a physical product. And you should work at different types of companies, whether it be B2B or B2C. You should also work in different positions. I wouldn't say go too far and say work in customer service and then UX design. That's a bit out of reach. I would say stay within that area of design. So maybe you do graphic design, you do illustration, and then you go into UX design. So you have those different similar areas. And perhaps just think about who you work with when you're in your job as a UX designer. You're working with programmers. Perhaps you want to try and get a programming role. I know that is quite difficult to get, but you want to just try and get these different things that you can understand what goes on more. Another thing with that is strategy. Strategy is great because that is where the ideas come from. So what you're working on as a UX designer is coming from the strategy. So someone has went and decided what you're going to do, and then you're doing that thing. If you know where these ideas are coming from, you'll be able to understand it more and perhaps even come up with the ideas yourself. And this will show that you're even more valuable to the company. So I hope these tips have helped you to an extent. I hope at least one of these steps can be implemented into your work life to increase your salary as a UX designer and become more valuable to the industry. So if you found any value in this video at all, please consider subscribing. Thank you for listening and learning. This has been Baron Erish from Root of Innovation, and bye.